get that to do its okay thing. There we go. And I'm going to mute.
All right. Great. Good deal. Hey there, everybody. Welcome. My name is Avra Robinson, and I am thrilled to be here with you today. So Will and I join you from Cami. Will is your account manager, and I am what's called a teacher success champion. So at Cami, the way that they kind of view it is when folks, have a license with Cami, you kind of have unlimited professional development and support. So, I'm going to share with you a document in a few minutes. It's got our contact information. So you can email me like anytime, and I can work with a small group of teachers. I can work with just you. We can email back and forth. We can brainstorm, we can troubleshoot, we can, do more, dive in deeper, whatever. So, always keep that in mind. When we have like an hour, I tend to get excited and I start talking fast. So I'm going to encourage you, especially with it being such a small group, to feel free to unmute and say, hey, wait, can you show that again? Can you repeat it? Ask questions, share things that are resonating with you if you want in the chat, or verbally if you feel comfortable. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and then I'm going to share a document with you in the chat. So give me a second to just kind of rearrange my Zoom windows here. And what I'm going to do is throw the chat up here as well. And then, so what you see on my screen is actually a Cami document, and I'm going to grab the URL here and share it with you. All right, so I'm going to hit copy and throw that into the chat. If you guys would like to click on the link that I just put into the Zoom chat, that will take you to this document that I have open right now. All right, you guys hopped in quickly. This is awesome. So as you take a look at this document, this is shared with you view only right now, and this is just my agenda. So what I want you to know about this is it's obviously the list of the things that I want to chat about today, but also there's a section called quick links, and the quick links are additional links to more information about Cami and some self-paced exploration that you could do. So if you get kind of excited today and you want to take it further, you've got options. You've got real live people, okay, Will and myself, who are willing and excited, and it'd be our privilege to help you. But if you kind of want to do something self-paced without having talk to a real person, that's totally fine too. We have free tutorials and courses. We've got a podcast. There's lots of templates. There's a blog. There's the help center. So there's a bunch of stuff there. Okay. But then also this document is going to serve as kind of a jumping off place for us. If you could find the words collaborative activity at the top left and click on it, what you will find then is an additional Cami document, but this one is editable by you. You actually have the option to add a text box to it. So what I'm going to encourage is all of us to share some joy, so, talk about something that makes us happy. So if you could look over on the left-hand side of your screen when you're on this page, you'll see text box as an option. And when you click on it, then you can go and click somewhere on the page and type in something that brings you joy. So I'm typing the name Hadley. Hadley is my 2-year-old granddaughter that I adore and worship. She's my favorite person in my whole family. I've told my family that everyone ranks below Hadley because Hadley is my favorite. I would absolutely agree with warm weather. I'm in Northern Illinois. So last week it was in the negatives. It was like about -5 or so. Today, I think it's a balmy like 36. So I'm a little jealous of California and the option for at least some temperate, temperatures and stuff. Books, definitely. Zoe, I agree with you. I actually just started reading again. I don't know, I fell off of reading for a while, and I was an avid reader for so long. So I completely agree. And then my sisters, I love that as an option as well. So you guys, as we're in this space right now, I do this to kind of demonstrate how Cami can be utilized as a collaborative tool. This is not unlike a Google slideshow or a Jamboard, where maybe you've engaged with students and had some brainstorming and things like that. But I think what you'll find, there are some uniquenesses, some differences with Cami. If you go to someone else's text box and you kind of click on it, see what you can do. Go ahead and just play with it for a second and see if you're able to delete their text, see if you're able to, change it to a different font or move it around. And if you want to share your experience, like unmute and talk, or if you want to put something in the chat and share what your experience is as you try to engage with someone else's text box, tell me what happens. Is anybody successfully able to move anyone else's text box around?
I'm not able to move them, but it seems like when I click on them, I get an option to record something.
So actually what you get there is a read aloud tool. So you're exactly right. No, it's perfect. What you'll notice is you can't, as a user in here. Okay. So as a teacher in here, if we're kind of doing this little role play demonstration, I'm the teacher. So if you've written something that was, off task or off color or, inappropriate in some way, I could delete it. Okay. But I can't change it. Okay. And you guys can't change each other's, which can be really nice. Because sometimes when you're in this kind of collaborative world with kids, it can be fun and engaging and a neat way to brainstorm. But as soon as somebody figures out that they can be a stinker and go in and change something, sometimes it can be less fun then as kids get frustrated. So what you'll notice is if you rest your mouse on someone else's text box, you're going to see their user icon, which is that circle with the initials in it. And then you're also going to see what's a microphone with a little speech bubble above it, and that's a read aloud tool. So if I click, or if I rest here and then I click here on warm weather, I can have it read to me. So that can be a nice feature for students who need, who would benefit from that kind of support. And so what I'm noticing also, as you guys are kind of exploring, is fonts and colors changing a little bit, which is wonderful. As you're in here and you're clicked inside or select, like you've kind of gone inside the text box, what you'll notice is a formatting toolbar. They call it the rich text editor. And that's a place where then you can change font sizes, change the actual fonts. You can change line spacing. You can do things like bold or italics. You could even change the background color of your text box. So like I could make the background color of Hadley purple, and then make the font itself white or something like that. So you've got lots of options, if you thank you guys for playing along and exploring that right now. That's exactly what I kind of wanted from this experience. One other thing to notice when you're in a text box, and hold on a second, let me get my text box going again. When you're in a text box and you look at that formatting toolbar, the option on the far right is voice typing. So if you want to allow your students to use this, it's not unlike, talking into our phones and texting, or Google Docs has this kind of feature as well. You can click on the voice typing, and then as you do, it does a pretty good job of transcribing what you say. So then you can see probably, I don't know if you guys are watching my Zoom or if you're just kind of looking at the Kami document, but either way, you can see that it does a nice job. So what I love about that is that a lot of times when we're working with students and how you have your kids that they know so much and they're the ones that'll talk your ear off, right? But then as soon as you ask them to share ideas or information in writing, or, in this digital writing, typing kind of space, all of a sudden, like the vocabulary becomes very succinct and they're using shorter words because they're the ones that they know how to spell. And the sentence structure becomes, less sophisticated and that kind of thing because they have barriers to being able to express themselves in writing. Now, if you're an English language arts teacher, you might be thinking to yourself, well, but I need my kids to be able to write full sentences and paragraphs and all of that. And that's all true too. So it just kind of depends on what your objective is in terms of like what you're assessing. Are you trying to find out like, what do my kids know about a certain concept? In which case, then that might be a neat way to allow them to express themselves. If you know that they do have barriers to reading and writing, that might be a neat and nice way to differentiate. Does anybody have any questions about this space at all? What do you notice about your toolbar on the left-hand side?
One of the things that I wanted to point out that I was talking to Nicole about because I felt a little bit like an idiot is because if you are in the original document, the outlines, and you accidentally get into the clicking tool instead of in the select tool, it just let me comment on where it said collaborative activity. It didn't actually take me to the collaborative activity. So when I
Because
was
it was
there,
defaulted.
I was like, I can't get in here. I can't do what I'm trying to do. So it was putting me on the comment tab. It got me to the comment by accident. So when I was clicking on comment, and I would click on it, it didn't take me anywhere. So that's an important sort of distinction to remember.
Yeah, you know, I'm really glad that you said that, Jen. That's a great point. So that select tool is that very first tool at the top left, and it's like the mouse. And if you don't have it selected, then when you go to try to click something on one of these pages, it doesn't work. So that's great. I'm glad that you said that. So you guys, when you're in this, you know, in this joy, let's share joy document, what you probably noticed is that you guys have the select tool, and then you have the text box tool, right? Do you have any other tools? Did I give you anything else there? No, I don't think so. So I did that by design because that's one of the things that I wanted to show you. So something that's very unique to Kami is that teachers can control the learning environment, and they can go so far as to say which tools kids have and which ones they don't. So if you want to come back to the Zoom, if you're looking at Kami, like in your own Kami tab right now, come on back to the Zoom and look at my screen share for a second, because I want to show you what I've done here. I have made it so that you only have 2 tools so far, but I want to give you more of them. So if you'll follow my mouse up to the top right of the screen, you're going to see a series of icons up here. And one of them is the share document icon. Okay. So it's immediately to the left of the printer. If I click on it, then what you'll see is anyone with the link is an editor right now. So I made you all editors, but I only gave you one tool with which to edit. So now I'm going to go here to where it says control features button. And when I click that, now I can go down and say, hey, I also want you to have the drawing tool, and let me give you the shapes tool, and I'll give you an eraser tool. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do right now. I'm going to hit OK. And now I'm going to encourage you to go back to your Kami tab or your Kami window. You won't need to refresh. You won't need to reload the program or anything like that. You will just find now that you have several more tools. And you guys, this document is actually several pages long. Okay, so there are some blank white pages where we can just kind of have fun for a few minutes. So take one of these tools out for a spin. See what it can do. Play with the shapes tool or play with the drawing tool. Just have fun for a few minutes. And while you do, I'm going to go and continue to give you more tools to play with. I just wanted you to kind of have this, have the experience of watching me do it. And now I'm just going to go and give you all those tools. So there's an all on button that I can just quickly press. And now I hit OK. And you all should be in your Kami world, and you should see them all just appear there. And so now you have things like add media. And you guys, the add media tool is very powerful because it's got links to being able to bring in stuff from your computer. Okay, so something from the hard drive of your device. You could actually launch the camera tool as well. So the camera tool, actually, let me go down to page 2 here so I don't take up too much room. But with my camera tool, I could go in and take a picture. I could take a selfie, but you know, I'm 48, so selfies aren't pretty anymore without filters. But instead, I can take a picture of a math problem that I've worked, right? And so if kids are in a classroom doing some work, you know, on paper, or maybe they have like a dry erase board. My students used to have individual like whiteboards. They could do some work in there. They could write out some vocabulary or do a math problem or whatever it is, and then take a picture of that and put it in here into a collaborative digital space. You know, so lots of different possibilities here. And I just want to give you guys like a minute or 2 more to kind of just explore. Looks like somebody found the graphic organizers. Woohoo, love that. So down in add media, you're going to see graphic organizers. You'll also see stickers. So there are some fun kind of digital stickers in case people are utilizing Kami for feedback as well, which I'll show you in a little bit when we chat about Google Classroom. So feel free while you're playing to unmute and ask any questions. or share anything that you're thinking about. Somebody found stickers, yay. Yeah, I love the warm weather, and I love this. That's one of my favorite stickers, the little animated hand. You can go in add media. If you grab the file folder icon, you can pull in a picture from your hard drive. So that way I could then prove to all of you that Hadley is the cutest human. Well, in my family anyway. She's far cuter than my 12-year-old son. That's for sure. 12-year-olds are not nearly as cute as sweet little 1-year-olds that don't talk, which is what she was in that picture. So you guys, there are lots and lots of possibilities in this environment. And you, as you are thinking about how you might utilize Kami with your students, what I want you to know is starting from scratch, like something like this, you know, and doing a brainstorm or something is pretty easy. And it's just a simple way to get started. But Kami isn't about reinventing the wheel. It isn't about, you know, starting from scratch necessarily. It's about taking what you already have and augmenting it, making it better, and bringing it into a space where students can interact. And so we're going to transition from this collaborative space in just a minute or two into looking at more working at, you know, looking at activities for the individual space. And so she's adorable. Oh my goodness. So I'm loving this. Love it. Love it. That's awesome, Jen. So I'm just going to take a peek through. So as you guys have been exploring, have any questions come up at all, or wondering about anything at all? Nope, you're doing okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave this open. I'm going to close it myself, but I'm not going to change the settings. If I wanted to, as the teacher in this environment, I could go and turn all your tools off. And I could say, okay, it's time to now, you know, come back together as a group. Let's have a conversation. Let's debrief. But you guys are done editing this document now, or we're done working in this collaborative space. I won't do that because I want you guys to keep playing if you want to. But I'm going to go ahead and close out of it and just open up a new tab and talk about just how to get started with Kami. Because it's important for you to kind of see now how you might utilize it with your kids besides in the collaborative space. So you guys, to begin with, just to get to Kami, some basics here. Kami.app. So KAMI.app is one way to get to what's called the Kami dashboard. Okay. So this dashboard is kind of the homepage of Kami, and it's how you can get started using the program. You can also use, and we suggest that you do, use the Google Chrome extension. Okay. If you click on the Google Chrome extension, and mine's up here in the top right, it's this purple circle with a K in it. That's also going to take you to the dashboard. Okay. And when you're here at the dashboard, you're going to see a couple different options. First of all, this is where you could open a file. Okay, so you can see this open file. Look, I can pull from Google Drive. I could pull from my computer. I could pull from somewhere called the Kami Library. And the Kami Library is this amazing resource. If you notice over here on the right, there are some trending templates. Basically, that means that these are some favorites right now of people, okay? And if I come up here to where it says Browse Templates, some of you were having fun playing with the graphic organizers. Well, this is kind of where they were born. So here in the Kami library, you can see we have almost 750 resources that the folks at Kami have built out. Everything from, you know, these kind of digital worksheets, multiplication charts, a digital notebook, also graphic organizers, all sorts of stuff. And if you are overwhelmed, what you can do is head over to the left-hand side. This left-hand panel is going to allow you to kind of filter. So you could say, hey, I'm a world languages teacher. Okay, so what kind of stuff do you have for me? Or, hey, you know, I'm an English language arts teacher and I teach, you know, 10th grade, for example, or something like that. And it's going to kind of filter for you. And as that happens, and you identify something that you think you might want to use, you can click on any of them and see them a little bit larger. And then you could see how you could take this and push it directly into Kami. Okay, so you could hit open with Kami. And then from there, you could go in and start to build out an activity for your students. So let's say we were going to use this for vocabulary. You might then open it up and type some words, you know, type the word in here and maybe put synonym here, an antonym here, or so on and so forth. If you notice, guys, below the purple button is this white button or this gray button that says download for free. So you can also just download stuff and print it off, do it on paper and pencil. That's fantastic too. And this is totally free. Okay. So everything in here can be used either digitally or in an analog fashion as well. Okay. So again, how did I get there? I was here at the Kami dashboard. So Kami.app. And then I clicked on where it says browse templates. And that took me to the Kami library. The Kami library also, I'll go ahead and just put in the chat, just you can get there directly with this link as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull in kind of a mock-up an activity, okay? And I'm going to pull something from the hard drive of my computer. Now, when I say something, you can bring in whatever kind of document you want. Can be a Google Doc. You could bring in a slideshow. You could bring in something from Jamboard. You could bring in, and if you're a former Microsoft user as well, PowerPoint works, Word works. You could also bring in image files. So when I click here on my computer, I can go to this frog dissection JPEG right here, okay? And even though it's a JPEG, it just pops up and says, hey, do you want us to convert this? And I say, yeah, absolutely, Kami, do your magic, okay? So I know that we're not all like biology teachers dissecting frogs, right? But a lot of times, we want students to be labeling the parts of something or inserting text boxes into a digital worksheet of some sort. So that's kind of why I use this as my example. So do me a favor and transform it in your own minds to something that works in your learning environment. Speaking of learning environments, when we look at digital learning environments, it's really important to empower our students to do what they can to make themselves comfortable. So the first thing I do is I teach teachers and students to come up and use the Zoom tool. So the Zoom tool is up here at the top right, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. The reason for that is because I want to be able to see the entire page, and I also want my students to be able to see the margin. Because the margin is a powerful place in Kami. It's a place where we can put comments. Now, it's not unlike a Google Doc or a Google slideshow where you can have comments, but Kami's comments are multimedia. So what that means is beyond just text, we can also record voice, we can record video. It can be front-facing video, or it could be a video of your screen, like a Screencastify screen recording, okay? So let me show you some of that. I'm gonna go over to the left-hand side to the comment tool. And you can see the top one is a text comment. So this is a pretty busy page. If I wanted to put some instructions over on the side, I could. I just clicked, and then I could start to type instructions here, okay? It might be a nice place so that way it doesn't become overly crowded by trying to add some instructions up at the top of the page. That's one possibility. I think an even more powerful one, though, would be to actually talk to my kids and tell them what to do, right? Reiterate those instructions. So, we give instructions in a whole group situation, sometimes a small group situation, and we definitely have a handful of kids who are off and running, are good to go. And then we have students who are neurodiverse, who are, highly distracted, absent, chronically absent. There's all sorts of reasons that they might not catch those instructions the first time. So have you ever found yourself in your classroom having to explain what to do once, twice, 3 times, right? So what if you could clone yourself? What if you could click and say, hey guys, you did an amazing job as you were dissecting your frogs last week. So now it's your turn to show me what you know. Get with your lab partners and label the parts of the frog using text boxes. Now, that was short and sweet, right? But it could have been up to 5 minutes long. The audio recording allows for up to 5 minutes, and you can have multiple ones if you want. So this little dot here refers to this comment. If I wanted, I could explain what to do over here, and then I could have a different one over here, so on and so forth. Okay, so you've got lots of options for these little dots are like anchors for the comments. Okay, let me show you the video comment. It's pretty awesome too. And it can be up to 20 minutes long. So think about this. You could be standing in your classroom at your board, and you could be working a math problem, or you could be teaching a lesson, or you could be reading a passage of text to students, or, lots and lots of possibilities. And the cool thing is, you don't have to worry about saving the video and then getting it to your Google Drive or anything like that. Like, it just all is here in the Kami environment, in the activity that you're creating for your kids. The last option is the screen capture. So if I'm doing this, this is a screen recording. So I've got two monitors, which is why it's, asking me which one I want to record, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it to record screen one, hit share. And now if your kids are new to Kami and they don't know how to make a text box, you say to them, okay, let's go over and click on text box. And then, hey, we're going to come over here and, well, we don't want it to be purple anymore. So now I'm going to go up and make it clear and, type and all of that, right? So lots of possibilities for creating tutorials for kids, okay? You don't have to stay here in Kami while you're recording your screen. You could go to another tab, and say, hey, I need you guys then to, come to this website and, hey, you're going to read, these couple passages in these blue boxes here. And then when you're done reading, come on back and answer the questions over here, so on and so forth. So these are all just features that are built in. You can save these. Okay. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, Avra, that looks great, but that's a lot of time to spend on one activity. Well, just so you know, okay, each of these little annotations over here have the option to either delete. Okay, so maybe I don't want that one, but this one was a great explanation, and maybe it's a journal writing thing that they're going to do every week, and I might use it over and over again. I can actually click right here on this little file box, and I could call it journal instructions. And that way then I hit save, and now there's a place called the annotation bank, okay? And that's up in the top left. So next to the word Kami, there's a little icon that's like a rectangle, and it opens up another, it's called toggle sidebar. So it opens up another sidebar. And this little thing right here is going to be the icon for that annotation bank. So now this is everything I've ever saved. And you guys look, it doesn't just have to be your recordings. You can also save pictures that you take, pictures that you bring in, things that you draw, okay? Math problems that you work, like absolutely everything can be saved in here that teachers, and any annotation can be saved and reused. So if you find something like, here's Pearl Harbor instructions, woohoo, I want to use this, I just go like that, and it just drops it in and it puts it there for you. So if you're looking at this as a way to be able to support students, it adds opportunities for like these wonderful scaffolds, because if you're like my 12-year-old son, you did the listening class the first time, and yet you're embarrassed to admit that. So you want to be able to hear the instructions, but you need to hear them more than once. And in this case, you don't have to admit that you want to hear it more than once, right? So this can be, you don't have to do any of this, right? You can just bring in an activity. If you needed to, you could add a title to the top of the page, right? I've had teachers come to me and say, hey, I have a quiz that I need to give, and all I can find is the answer key. Like, what am I going to do, right? So I've gone in and we've added white boxes over all the answers, and that way then you have a copy then of the quiz instead of just the answer key, that kind of thing. So it can be used from everything from that PDF annotation all the way through this idea of like augmenting your activities with some multimedia instructions. Questions at all? You guys are doing okay? All right, awesome. I'm going to keep going. Can you hear me okay? Am I okay? I was just wanting to make sure my Wi-Fi is okay. Sometimes at the end of the day, my Wi-Fi starts to get grouchy. Okay, so now here's what I'm going to do. I want to show how to get this into Google Classroom so that we can see how to push a copy out for each student, okay? And so the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that it gets stored in Google Drive. Now, the great news about Kami is that Kami and Google Drive work together, and it will automatically just go to your Google Drive. However, I have mine set up where I have to do it manually so I can show you how. Up here, again, top right, series of icons, there's a floppy disk, okay? The floppy disk is the save icon, and upload right here is to Google Drive. So then it's going to go to a folder called Kami Uploads. And you guys, if you'll follow my mouse up to the top left, you're going to see the name of that folder, Kami Uploads, and you're going to see the name of the file. Okay, so this is called Frog Dissection JPEG PDF. I'm going to change it to call it 7th period Frog Dissection, and I'm going to get rid of JPEG just because that's a little bit clunky. Okay, so now, hold on a second, PDF, there we go. So now I have this saved. I know where it's at. I know what it's called. And now I'm going to head over and go to Google Classroom. Okay. When I'm at Google Classroom, of course, I go to the classwork page and I'm going to go to create. And as long as you have the extension installed, you will see Kami assignment as the second option down. Okay. And you want to make sure to choose that because that's where all the Kami magic happens. So you're going to click here. And you're going to get just that typical Google Classroom window where you're going to go in and say, hey, this is a frog dissection activity, right? And then we're going to go to Google Drive and pull in that PDF that we just saved here in Kami Uploads. Now, I want you to know that if you had wanted to put that into a different folder, you could have changed it to a different folder. It doesn't matter. It just automatically goes to Kami Uploads. Okay. You guys, speaking of automatic, Google Classroom and Kami assume that you want to make a copy for each student. Okay, so that's done by default. However, if you wanted to create an activity like the collaborative one that we were doing earlier, you could choose students share one copy. Okay, so be aware that you can use it in that way as well. And then look over here on the bottom right, control features. You guys, control features is that same environment that I was showing you before, where you now as the teacher get to decide what your students have access to for every activity. I don't know where this was for all those years I was teaching PowerPoint and all the things like, oh my gosh, I'll never forget the day that I taught third graders how to do transitions in PowerPoint. There was one that sounded like a gunshot. And it was like, oh God, I'm going to die. It was horrible, right? And they were migraine inducing by the time those PowerPoints were created. So that was 2006. But anyway, Kami allows you to say, hey, they don't need all this. Like, we don't need a dictionary tool right now. We don't need a read aloud tool. And heck no, they don't need YouTube. Like, that's great for me as the teacher to put a YouTube video in there, but I don't want them going in there and screwing around with that, right? Up to you, right? There's times when it's great, times when it's not. So I'm going to say all off. And then I'm going to say they need the select tool. And I'm going to give them the voice comment because I want to show you that. And then I'm going to give them the text box tool, and that's it. Now, before I go any further, though, I want to show you these support features down here. Okay, copy and paste. Do you want your kids to be able to go over to another tab, highlight some text, copy it, bring it in, paste it into Kami? There might be times when you want that. There might be times when you're like, nope, don't want that. So you turn it off, right? Spell check, same thing. Do you want, are you assessing for spelling? Do you want to know that they knew how to spell those parts of the frog or whatever it is, right? You decide. Same thing with adding pages, same thing with that voice typing. We also have closed captions. So closed captions are awesome, like in the videos that you as a teacher make, or the audio or any YouTube videos that you bring in. But some teachers have said to us, hey, I'm given a vocabulary quiz or I'm given a spelling quiz or whatever, and it's not helping that those closed captions are there. So be aware that you can just turn on and off all of these different supports. Okay. And I'm going to hit OK. And now the last thing I want to show you is this add links for mobile devices. So this is just going to add a little link that they can click on and it will immediately open up in Kami. The reason that they say it's for mobile devices is because Kami doesn't have an iOS app. It doesn't have an Android app. So if you have any students that might use an iPad or any older kids that might have phones, I think it sounds ridiculous to try to do homework on this, but my daughter has told me that I'm old and that sometimes middle school and high school kids will do their homework on their phones. If you want to give them that option, make sure you check this box and I'll show you what it does. I'm going to hit assign right now and wait for it to do its thing. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like from a kid perspective. Let me just go over and get that ready for just a second here. There we go. All right. Yeah, there we go. It did it. All right. So now you guys, here I am as a student in Kami. So I came over to a different Chrome browser and I'm going to go to this frog dissection. This is that little link that it creates. It's the same thing as clicking here. You click here, it loads up, and then you have to go here to open with Kami. Okay, that's one way of doing it. The other way is to click here. Okay, and it does the same thing. I'll show you. And actually, this is our activity here. So if I click here, it's just going to open up Kami. That's going to work beautifully on a phone. It's going to work beautifully on an iPad. It also works beautifully on a Chromebook. Okay, so you can do that. Or if you don't want to give them that option, you can just have them go here. And then they go here, open with Kami. So top right, little purple button. Either way, as soon as they get in, this is what it's going to look like. And to me, it's overwhelming. it's big and it's like a lot of stuff, you know? So I tell them, zoom out. Okay. I'm going to tell it no thanks to text recognition right now, and I'll talk to you guys more about that later. Okay. But look, this is what I've got now. So I could come over here, and so you guys remember that while you're, you know, I can listen. If I'm a student, I can hit play and be up to 20 minutes long. So think about this. I can go full screen. Okay. You could be standing in your classroom at your board and you could be working a math problem. So it definitely takes teaching your kids how to use these supports, right? Like, hey guys, this is the play button. Here's our full screen button, but this and this little button turns on closed captions, you know, so there's some of that needs to be, you know, taught to them. But then once they're here, look at what they've got. They've got some wonderful supports. And then of course, they've got the tools that you chose for them to have over here. So the text box tool, I can come over and type in parts of the frog, right? What if they used the voice comment instead and they clicked and they went like this? This is the X, Y, and Z part of the frog, and it connects to this other part of the frog. And hey, this was our really cool experience as we were dissecting. This is what we discovered, you know, and they actually talked for a little bit. That could be really cool as well. This could also not be the ugly innards of a frog, and it could just be text-based questions where then kids could do the same thing. They could answer, and they can use any color here. I'm just kind of demonstrating that. So you could have them answer with different colors if you want, just to have the different dots be different colors if you want to. They can do this, you guys, with audio. You could also give them the option to record video. So I've seen speech teachers have kids record their speeches to practice before they give a speech. This could be wonderful in a world languages classroom. I always think about you, Nicole, like, you know, it's lots and lots of possibilities for what you could do in here. Yeah, exactly. Nicole, I don't know if the people that are like, we're recording this won't be able to see that, but Nicole just said when it's not critical how students demonstrate and share, it's really powerful to give them the agency to share in the way that works best for them. So I always think about Cameron, my wonderfully little neurodiverse sixth grader who will talk your ear off. He has so much knowledge, but you know, if you put him in this kind of situation, his barriers in terms of spelling and grammar will give you very little in terms of what he knows. So when you want to know what he knows, you got to let him talk. So anyway, this is what it looks like for kids in here. Okay. And if you're in some kind of classroom where there's a performance aspect to it too, having that front-facing camera can be wonderful, okay? You guys, the floppy disk has turned into the turn-in button here in this student environment. So they don't have to go back to Google Classroom. The integration is built right in. They click here on turn in, and then it drops down this menu and they get the turn in button. So now, boom. It's turning in. They wait for confetti. So confetti is this wonderful little animation that pops up. It's a visual cue that says you're done. Okay. Again, they do not have to go back to Google Classroom, but if they do, they will see it turned from assigned into turned in. It will turn to turned in, but not, there it is. I was gonna say, but not when Avra's Wi-Fi is slow. So now, as a teacher, you can do some feedback. Okay. So you can come in and you can go and click on, you know, that student's work. And what happens is you get this little mini version of Cami that's built into Google Classroom now. And this is where I think the Zoom tool really comes in handy, because if your student has done any recording, look at the difference between the recordings. Here's Ms. Robinson's, and then here's Sally's students, right? So you can see which ones are kid ones, and you can hit play and you could listen to Sally explain, you know, what she did and all of that. You also have the tools over here for like marking up and saying, you know, this looks good, but hey, what happened over here? You know, you can use those markup tools to give feedback. We could go to the ad media, go to the stickers and say, you know, excellent work and things like that. Okay. Also keep comments in mind for feedback as well. And keep the idea that you can save those comments in your annotation bank in mind. So if you want to keep your comments not student specific, if you are an English language arts teacher and almost every single one of your kids has run-on sentences in their essay, and you want to record saying, hey, if you don't get the comma before the and, it's not a conjunction and it's actually just a run-on sentence, then you could just throw that comment in there. You just go like this, you go to the toggle sidebar, and you scroll down until you find topic sentence, supporting details. Here, I know I've got one that's like conjunction reminder. Boom. Oops, hold on a second. I grabbed the wrong thing here. Stop. There we go. And you go like this, and it just pops right in. Okay, so you could just quickly and easily give the same comment to many students. And that could be a text-based comment too, if you don't want to record your voice.
So it looks like you can edit what the comments are called so they're easier to find. Am I correct?
Yeah, and not only can you do that, but you can also put them in folders.
Oh, I was going to ask. Good.
Yeah. So yeah, in here, I could edit them and give them much better names. And then at the very top, these are all folders. So the folder icon right here allows you to make a new folder, new folder. And then all you're doing is using this little caret right here, and it kind of opens it up, and then I could take them and drag them up and put them inside those folders. So people who are far more organized than I will have a really beautiful annotation bank. Mine's a hot mess because I do this all day long. So I'm always like, oh, we're going to do this and this. And it's just, I never go in to clean it up like I should. But yeah, you can have it be really organized. So those people that are like power users of Kami, it's like amazing how fast they can get through stuff when they're trying to give feedback and stuff like that. So you guys, all of this magic happens because of this little checkbox right here. So if you come into your Google Classroom and it looks like this, and you go, that lady was a liar. It doesn't have Kami in there. Make sure you look over here on the side and check the little box so that way then you're grading with Kami. Okay. And then you've got all your normal Google Classroom stuff. So we'll give this kid about a 50% here because, she didn't do much. But then you can do all your normal Google Classroom stuff, return the work to students and all of that. So there's a couple more things in Google Classroom that I think are really important to mention. One, let me just close out of this. One is something called the per page grader. And what that does, guys, is it allows teachers to see student work side by side. So let me go into an assignment where I know I have a bunch of student work, okay? And I'm going to go in like I'm going to grade. But instead of clicking on one of these and going into just the individual assignment, I'm going to go over here to this button that says grade by page up here at the top right. And watch what it does. It does something funky for a second, but as soon as it's done loading up in its little funky way, it's going to give us all of our student work side by side. So I'm going to hit open. At first, it loads them all in vertically. And then it switches it to side by side, like horizontally. And this isn't even the best example because if this were a multi-page assignment, I'd be able to scroll up or down or however you want to see it and be able to see multiple pages. So I can just scan through if I'm doing a quick formative assessment, just seeing if everybody's done, this kind of thing. I can also come up and I can give feedback up here. I can give points and return assignments to kids and all of that. And then again, I'd be able to scroll up if there were multiple pages. So that's a wonderful, like quick and easy way to do some grading. Where, it's kind of like when you lay out a whole bunch of kids' papers next to each other, like on your desk or something like that. So that's one really cool thing about Google Classroom and Kami. The other thing that I love is that if I have made a mistake when I'm going to create an assignment, if I come in here and I click on the assignment here in this like little PDF viewer, there's a button now that says edit material. And if I click on this edit material, it actually opens up the Kami doc again, and it lets you make changes and push them out even if kids have already opened it up. You don't have to delete your assignment and start over again. So like I can come in here and go, oh, I forgot the title. And so then I come up and I click on text box and I put, frog dissection. Okay. And I go, hey, I want that to be bigger and I want it to have like a background that's white so that way it covers up part of this. All right, cool. So now there we go. I fixed it. I fixed my mistake that I made. I'm going to go up to push changes, or I can say, you know what? This isn't the right directions, or I said something dumb in here. I'm getting rid of that or whatever. Right. And so I can come up and hit push changes, and then push changes now is literally going to go through every single student assignment, and it's just going to make the changes for kids. Doesn't matter how many you have. So if you've got 5 sections of the same class or something, you can absolutely push it out to all your kids at once. So those are some of the things that are really awesome about the integration between Google Classroom and Cami. So I've been talking for a long time. Let me pause for a second and just see if anybody's got a question, you want to seek clarification on anything, is something resonating with you that you're excited about? Anybody willing to share? If not, I'll just keep talking. I can. It's been proven that I can just keep talking, but
Could
I'd
you
love-
show the thing again where you can see all of the kids' pages at once?
Mhm.
I missed how to do that.
Absolutely. So you open up the assignment and you go and you kind of click like you're going to go in and look at the kids' work. So, you know, I go to my like little viewer here, and grade by page is right here. But also, Jen, it's also, you can also get to it up here. So even if you are in grading one individual kids, you can come here to grade by page. Do you see it up here at the top right? So any of those, and then it's just kind of funky for a minute. Like it does this thing where it's loading, and then you have to say which one are you talking about, and there's only one to choose from, and then you hit open, and then it loads up. And so then at first it looks vertical, and then it throws it horizontal. So I think that they're probably going to clean that up and make it look a little bit better. The engineers are, I mean, obviously far smarter than I, and they are working constantly to make things better, but that's how you do it. Does that help you? Yeah, cool.
Follow up to that, because it's what I was going to ask or just clarify.
Sure.
This is based on students having hit that button at the top that says turn in.
Yeah.
In other words, if we were in Google Slides, totally different product, right? Teachers could open it up in thumbnail view and see in real time students while they're working. But for now, as far as we know, teachers can't use this feature to kind of monitor and follow along as students are working in real time in the Cami document to have them all open at once. Am I correct?
In this view, I'm not sure if they have to have
I feel like they have to, based on the fact that it had the turned in.
Really cool. I'm pretty sure they don't have to have it turned
Good.
in real time. I know if you're clicking on an individual student's assignment, you can see in real time what they're working on.
Okay.
And I am like 85% sure that if they don't have it turned in, you can still see it in this.
That makes sense, because you can see anything that you push out as make a copy for each individual student in Google Classroom. You can still go in and see the template that they got, even if they haven't started it, for example.
You can absolutely do it in Drive. I mean, and that works all the time. So if like I'm in here and I'm in Classroom and I go to my class and, you know, I choose, can you see frog dissection ad nauseum here? That's ridiculous. You can tell I use the same thing over and over again, but you can come in here and see it, open it with Cami and see individual students in here. Whether you can see it in this environment, I'm going to find out for you, Nicole, and I'll let you know. Yeah, that's a great.
I think some teachers would really like that, because they, especially if Cami gets to the point where it loads almost like 4 up and you can scroll so that they can see kids as they're working and offer support if they see someone who's stuck or something.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. Great question. All right. I know we're down to about 8 minutes and I want to be respectful of your time. I want to show you just a couple more things that you can do in Cami. And I also want to show the split and merge if I get to that. So let me quickly show you just some text things very quickly. I'm going to go to my Google Drive and grab a very like text heavy document. So I can just show you some of these tools as well. You guys, I use the same over and over again, the same document over and over again, and I do it on purpose. I don't delete my annotations so I can show you how. If you pull a document into Cami and you make some annotations and then later you wish you hadn't, you can go up to this 3-line menu. I'm in the top right of my screen. And you can go down to delete all annotations. Okay. And that's wonderful, because then you'll get your fresh copy again, in case you didn't like make a copy before you changed it up and annotated it. The text stuff is up here. Okay. Wonderful supports, dictionary tool, double clicking, and I get a definition. Okay. I've also got read aloud that's built in.
Say something in reply
to the definition. Okay. Read aloud over here is here as well.
While reading, consider how you would have responded and reacted.
Okay, so you've got nice tools for students that need that support. And then if you're having them do any kind of annotation of text, you've got markup tools. So we've got a text highlighter that's like nice and neat, does nice, neat lines. We've got a freehand highlighter that, shows Avra's lack of fine motor control. And then we've also got a box highlighter, okay, where you as a teacher could even use this and do something like, hey, I'm going to have you answer a series of questions. And the answer to number 2 is going to be found here in that green box or something like that. So you've got strike through tools, you've got underline tools, lots of nice possibilities here, where you can empower students to be able to start to look for topic sentences and supporting details or whatever the information is that you need in there. So those are all wonderful features. You guys, there's also a question tool. Okay. This question tool, I just want to show quickly, it's still being developed. It's in what's called beta. Okay. So it's being beta tested right now, which just means that people are using it and giving feedback, but it's like a Google form. So I can click and create like a multiple choice question. Okay. So this can be a really nice way for students even to prepare for state exams and things like that, because, they go through the process of having to answer here in this digital environment. One thing that's unique about this is that you've got the question up here. So like, what color are Avra's eyes? Okay. And then we've got all our answers. But if I come down to where it says set answer key, I could actually get rid of the question. So what if this document that I was in right now already had the question written, and then I just put the answers, because what this is going to do eventually, it's going to auto grade for kids. Okay. And it's going to automatically, the points and everything will go into your Google Classroom, just like it can do in forms. So that's what they're working toward right now. Okay. So this is just another wonderful feature that, is kind of being built out. So I wanted to make you guys aware of it. And I know I'm going fast because we're almost out of time, but the last thing I want to show you is something called split and merge. This doesn't really have anything to do with anything we've talked about, except that it's this amazing utility built into Kami where it's right down here. So I'm here on the dashboard. It's right here. You can split apart a large file, or you can merge together lots of different files into one packet. So let me show you first. You can split. So I'm going to open up my Google Drive, come on into this really large document. Let it load up. So if you've ever gotten something from a textbook publisher, or you've gotten something from Teachers Pay Teachers, and it's just this lengthy file and you only want page 3, for example, you can do that with split and merge. So I'm going to hit next right here. I love it. It's like amazing. So let's say that this is about ratios. So say this is all a bunch of worksheets and we just want this one. Boom. There you go. Now we can rename it ratios page 3. So you can give it a different name. So now what you do is you hit export right here, and then you decide. So, hey, do I want to download this and print it off and just give it to my kids? Or do I want to have them send it straight into Kami, right? Or I'm going to put it in Google Drive for next week. Any of the above, okay? So each of these rows here are different files. And so you can build out, you could say I want it to be this page, and this page, and then I've made a little packet. Okay. So that's the splitting part of split and merge. The merging part is equally cool. We click on it again. Again, I'm going to go into Google Drive. You can go to your hard drive as well. Okay. So I'm going to grab my Pearl Harbor reading. I'm going to grab this reflection activity. I'm holding down Control right now on my keyboard, you guys, just to kind of select only a couple of files. Okay. Or if you're on a MacBook, Command actually. Okay. So we're bringing in a couple different files. You guys, these can be all different things. It could be an image file. It could be a slideshow. It could be a doc. It can be all these different types of files. Doesn't matter. You bring them all in. And then now look, they're all on their own row. So let's say we want to build out an activity. So we're going to start with this Pearl Harbor reading. And then let's see, what is this? Well, there's a little preview button right here. Oh, that's right. It's the reflection activity. Cool. And then I go, oh, you know what though? I want them to do the reflection activity after page 2 as well. So then I go here, this is clone page. And I go, awesome. So you can like duplicate the pages if you wanted. These were a couple of white pages. If I wanted to leave a blank page for kids to draw something, they could. Maybe we're going to end with this graphic organizer, so you can just absolutely move things around, drag and drop. If you scanned something and it's the wrong way, you can do this kind of a number and it's rotating. Okay. If you go, oh, you know what? I don't want this white page here. You can delete. And then what you're doing is you're just building a file and you give it a new name. So, packet number 34 or something like that. And again, export it, download it, send it to Cami, put it in Google Drive. The other thing, and this will be the last thing I say to you, because I know we're almost out of time, but if you've ever wanted to print student work from Google Classroom, this is magic, because I spent so much time printing student essays. I went into my classroom folder and I opened each one up in Docs and I went file and print, and it took forever, but I had parent teacher conferences and I needed to give them copies. So in here, instead, go to your Google Drive, go to your classroom folder, go to your class, and then go down to the one that you want. Let me find my demo or my daily word work. Here we go. And then I'm going to do a Control A, which is select all, right? And then I'm going to hit select, and it's bringing all my student work in. And instead of them being all these individual files, we're going to make one big PDF with all of them. It could be 25 kids' essays. So here's Alex's and Avra's and Sophie's and Megan's and Cameron's and Steve's. So we can put them all together, and then you go, essay for print or something like that. You hit export, you hit download, you hit continue. It comes down as a PDF and you print one thing to the copy machine or to the printer instead of having to open up like 25 files or 50 files or whatever it is. So lots of different ways to use split and merge. It's right here. It's just a little utility that's built right in. So it's one of my favorite things I think about Cami. It's just such a neat way you can also pull stuff in from the library if you want to, and kind of build out a whole digital experience for kids. So, all right. Questions. I know we're at our end time, but I'm happy to take any questions if you've got them.
If no questions, I will recommend to everyone here that you make sure you opened up, for example, the link that was put in the chat earlier that has her information and has some of those links in it. If you, when you open it, what I did, because I wanted to save it to my drive, hold on, I'm going to open it again from scratch and hope it opens a new copy. I'm going to be the same one, but I went to that same, it opens in Cami. So you want to go up to the top and you're going to hit that save thing. And then it's going to prompt you. If you want to save it, you can either download it or you can click on Google Drive where it says create your own copy. And then once you've done that and it opens that, you can then move it into a specific folder in Google Drive. But if you don't move it, it's going to live in a folder called Cami Uploads. See, Jen, it'll create that folder for you. We have a joke thing about folders.
She's mocking me. You heard it, Karen. It's recorded. She mocks me in public.
Well, Screencastify does that too. Like a lot of programs will do that. It just automatically it's all those permissions when you install the extension where it's like, it can make changes to your Google Drive. Yeah.
And it does. And so then you're wondering where it went. So the first way is to just initially save it at all, because right now you've kind of opened a link. So you want to go ahead and make that copy for yourself. And then it can live in that Cami Uploads folder, or you can, at that point, you can move it, or you can go into your own Google Drive and open up that Cami Uploads folder and move it.
Yeah. Those are all fantastic ideas. You can also bookmark it. I don't know if you guys use bookmarks, but it's also just a website of sorts, so it's a web location. So you could do it that way too. But I would love that, because that way then you've got access to Will and to me. So if you guys want at all any more help or anything, or if you just want to like follow up with a question, just shoot us an email, and that's what we're here for. So you're welcome.
Real quick as well, there's also the on the page that Avra is on, there's that feedback survey. If you just want to send the love Avra's way,
thank you.
Feel free to click on that and just share your feedback or anything. And yes, please reach out at any time if you have any questions. If maybe you have any issues, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help in any way.
Yeah, it's our pleasure and our job, so it works out perfectly.
thank you again so much for coming and for taking your time to share with us. As I said, this is a lot more in depth and more efficient and accurate than I think I would have been able to do. And I think I speak for Jen as well. So thank you. And Andrea and Zoe, thank you for coming. I know that was a hard choice at the end of a day. So I really appreciate your time.